Mike, I was watching the NFL game last night, and it went on forever and ever. They always say the best thing with umpiring or officiating in general is when you don't recognize the officials out there on the field. You can't help notice the officials right now in the NFL.
No, that's a good point, Starkey.
There is a labor dispute.
Certainly not been the case. Watching, I've sort of been sitting on the fence about this because, you can see both sides of it. I was never a huge fan of the old officials, but I think what I saw this weekend in the NFL, week 2, and especially last night in a game that was really unwatchable between two pretty good teams, Atlanta and Denver, the players don't respect the officials. I think that's more of a problem than the calls they're making. They don't respect the officials. The officials have to go very slow because they're not on sure footing about what they're doing. So it's hurting the product now. The game is lots of shoving matches, lots of stoppage. There's very little rhythm to the game. It's hurting the product now. And Roger Goodell talks a lot about the integrity of the game. He does a lot of the things that he does in terms of disciplining players and things about the integrity of the game. Well, if you're serious about the integrity of the game, you have to look at that product on television last night and say, that's not acceptable. You need to do something about it right now.
Yeah, you made a comment to me earlier that you feel like it's like the substitute teachers in the classroom.
That's how it feels.
That's how these players are acting, like they've got a substitute teacher out there right now. And that's on the players and the coaches a little bit, too, to give these guys the respect. Yes, there's been some delays. Yes, they've missed a couple things. But in most cases, they've corrected it. There's not been any huge error so far. Let's not let it get to that. Any huge error that's impacted the game in the wrong result. But these coaches and these players, the way they're acting out there...
Yeah.
And making it worse.
Yeah.
And they're really drawing attention to this.
And I really think the substitute teacher analogy is a good one. It's funny, when you look at the Baltimore Ravens think they got the shaft on Sunday on that, particularly on that offensive pass interference call that cost them a touchdown. However, if the way the game has been officiated in recent years in the NFL, if that Ravens guy was a defensive player, they would have called, in a lot of cases, they would have called what he did. There was some of this going on. They would have called that if he was a defensive player. So I almost think, although I'm not saying this is intentional, I almost think the replacement officials have evened up that battle between defensive backs and receivers a little bit, made it a little more fair.
It's been long coming, long overdue.
Again, it's not really about, to me, it's not really about the calls. It's about the demeanor and the attitude and the rhythm and flow of the games. It's not a good TV show right now, and that hits the NFL, the owners of the NFL, right where they live.